Well, good morning, Darrell. Welcome to our Distinguished Engineering virtual interview or fireside chat. You are certainly to be congratulated for this distinguished accomplishment. And first, I'd like to ask you, we talked about the fact that you grew up in Houston with a family of musicians and played the French horn. So how in the world do you convert from playing the French horn, being musical, to an engineer?
Well, as you said, my both my mom and dad were professional musicians and made their career out of it. And I always had a great interest in music, being from a musical family, and so that was my thought process all through high school. Hey, I'm gonna go into the music business, be a professional horn player in the symphony, and maybe get into education. And at some point, I kind of realized, looked at what my mom and dad had worked for and how hard they worked, and they were very good at what they did. And they struggled, financially to make it and pay for everything and create a good life for me and my siblings. And I sort of realized that they're really good and they struggled. I'm not that good, so I should look to maybe another career. And at that time, which was the late 70s, computers were just starting to become very prevalent, and it was sort of the wave of the future. So it seemed like a good choice to me that I could still kind of do some music on the side, but I could have a career in computers, computer science, where I could actually make a decent living. And so at the time, Texas Tech was just starting their computer science program, and I had a couple of friends that were coming here to study engineering. So yeah, that was what led me to Texas Tech.
Well, and you mentioned the fact that you had some influential professors and you put yourself through school.
Right. Yeah. With mom and dad not being able to really help me, I worked part-time at the computer center. So I worked about 25 to 30 hours a week and kind of just worked my way through school. And of course, back then, the tuition was a lot less than it is today. So it was a lot more feasible to do something like that. But
Mhm.
but yeah, that was a somewhat of a struggle for me. And then the getting used to the engineering curriculum was a big switch for me because I was studying the arts in high school, so I didn't take math. I didn't do any of the things that I was being asked to do in the computer science department. So that was a big adjustment for me. And Dr. Lynn and Marilyn Weiner were kind of the computer science chair and co-chair at that time. And yeah, Dr. Weiner gave me a pretty hard time about my grades and really was pushing me pretty hard. I think as he did some other students, if they were there at that time. But yeah, eventually I kind of got on board with it and made the adjustments. And by the time I graduated, Dr. Weiner had really supported me for the Outstanding Computer Science Senior Award, and was very complimentary of the work that I put in, and making the adjustment from this artistic background to doing science and engineering.
Yeah, it seems like the professors that are tough, the toughest ones on us are the ones we end up liking the most after it's all done.
Absolutely.
So you had a long career right after school with Texas Tech in the computer programming and cybersecurity part of it. At least that's where you developed up a passion for cybersecurity as it changed dramatically from obviously the early 80s to now.
Yeah, when like I said before, I was working at the computer center, working on the mainframe systems that were running the student information system and starting to run more of the the payroll and the HR systems for the university. Those were back then. Those were all on IBM mainframes, and so that was my baby, if you will. I had to know assembly language, IBM assembly language, to work and administer those systems. And so I really enjoyed doing that while I was in school. And they made it so I could stay on full time when I graduated. And so over the years, I kind of just worked my way up, working on the mainframe systems. And that was back in '84 when I graduated from tech with computer science. And by 2007, I was still at the university, but I transitioned over into the office of the CIO, working for Sam Sagrin, who's still there, by the way. And at that time, he made me the information security officer for the university, because information security had really become a much more prevalent problem, a much more serious risk for every organization, not just the university. But nowadays, every organization has got to be aware of cyber threats and the threats to the information, their intellectual property. So it's become quite an important role for most large organizations. But yeah, it's my career at tech spanned a lot of different areas, from IBM mainframes to building what we call the computer center into a more modern data center where we're supporting not only mainframes but Windows, Linux servers, hosting them for departments on campus. And it's really, now that today, it is a complete modern data center with full resiliency and generator backup power, and so it's quite a big operation over there.
Well, tell us how that you segued into working for Citibank and what you're doing there now.
Well, having worked as the information security officer for the university, it really got me deep into the whole topic of information security. And I wasn't really looking for any other opportunities, but I had a friend of mine contact me about this opportunity at Citibank. They needed someone who could come in and help them formalize their information security program, which is essentially the blueprint for how a large organization is going to secure their operations, secure their data, make sure that customer data is kept private, that intellectual property is secure, that they're compliant with all of the regulatory requirements, and there are a lot of them in banking, as I quickly learned. So it seemed like a very good transition for me, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed my time at Texas Tech, but the transition to Citibank has been really good. I've very much enjoyed working with the people at Citibank. Just really good, solid people, very involved in the community, and boy, they put their customers first there.
That's great, but you also have quite a bit of social activities. You mentioned to us about teaching golf to the kids or homeschool team. You're into winemaking. You still dabble in the musical artistic end, the Lubbock Moonlight musical. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
So yeah, we are a homeschool family. We have two boys that are out of school. In fact, one of them has his degree from the mechanical engineering department and is working a very, very good career in Austin. One is still in school at South Plains and working his way to move over to Texas Tech. And then we have a daughter who's 15, and she is completely homeschooled. And we've really enjoyed the opportunity to kind of be completely involved in her education. They always say that the parents should play an active role in their children's education, and homeschooling is kind of the ultimate way to be actively involved. And um, so Lubbock happens to have a very strong homeschool coalition. So a lot of different homeschool families meet together and they study together and they do activities together. But there's also an athletic organization called the Lubbock Titans. They do football, basketball, volleyball. My daughter plays volleyball for them. Well, they wanted to start a golf team a couple of years ago, and they knew I had a love for golf. So we got some kids together, and we've been working for the last 2 years trying to get to the point where we can compete with some of the other private schools in the area. But yeah, that's been fun working with the kids. Kind of wish my daughter would participate, but she's like, Dad, no, I'm not doing golf. But that's fine. She does really well at volleyball.
Well, but she's done some musicals with you, hadn't she?
Right. So we got involved about 5 years ago in Lubbock Moonlight Musicals, which is a great organization, super family entertainment available here in Lubbock. I'm sure a lot of people that live here are familiar with them. During the summer, they do these outdoor shows at the amphitheater over in McKenzie Park. And my daughter, Tori, and I started getting involved in that and just being a part of the chorus. And then after a while, we ended up getting bigger and bigger roles. And so, yeah, I've done 8 or 9 different shows, and Tori's she's been in like 4 or 5 of them. And that's been great fun, great avenue for me to kind of stay involved with my interest in music and the arts.
And speaking of art, I guess wine making is an art, so you do that as well.
Yeah, being a lover of wine, it's been a challenge or it's been fun, but it's also been challenging to try to make my own wine and be involved in that sort of thing. And we've met some folks here in the Lubbock area that have a vineyard and just opened their own winery. And so I've enjoyed going out there to the vineyard and helping them with the harvest. And then in exchange, they give me a few grapes. So I take them home and ferment them and see what I can do. And I've discovered that it's fairly easy to make wine, but it's hard to make good wine. So, but I'm still working on it.
It's an engineering kind of thing. It's always trying to
Yeah, you might say that.
make
Maybe
it
chemical
a better
engineering.
grape. Well, Darrell, congratulations again on becoming a distinguished engineer. And is there anybody you would like to acknowledge?
Well, yeah, first of all, really want to thank the Computer Science External Advisory Board, Dennis Carroll and Dr. Radicorn, and all of those folks on the advisory board. They really were kind of pushed me to submit a application for this, and I sort of resisted them at first, but they've been very supportive. As far as those at Texas Tech, really want to thank Sam Sagrin. He's been a great example for me, mentor, advisor. Steve Taylor, K Rhodes, also from the university. Yeah, and of course, my wife Cheryl has been a great supporter of me. Kind of helped me through making a lot of decisions about career and family, and she's been great to do so much for our kids while I've been working. She's done all of those great things with our kids, and boy, just can't thank her enough for that.
Well, great. Darrell, again, thank you so much, and congratulations on becoming a distinguished engineer.
Thank you so much.